I'm not like most girls who only take just what they're given, like a What the hell is this song actually? Hold on. Hold on. Why doesn't it sound like this when they're singing?
Because production.
Production?
It's my favorite song, though. Keep going.
It's Randy's favorite song, too.
Fine. Okay. Lucky for me, I'm not like those girls who own. I feel like I'm so off key, though. Like,
You are off key, but
Yeah, because you're reading it like a book.
all right.
Read it in your sexy voice.
All they got is what they're handed. Lucky for me, I'm not like most girls.
Oof. Got a half chub.
yeah,
right?
man.
Half chub?
Half chub.
That goes
we
to,
need to
that
bleep
goes
out
to
the
you,
word.
Randy.
I think we need to bleep out the word chub, if I'm going to be honest.
I feel like that's racist if you bleep out the word chub. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why.
How?
That
Is this
what
what we're
feel.
getting into?
Randy can't roll. He can't even set any of this up. We can't tell him to roll anything.
No,
Oh, so it's you?
it's me.
Oh, it's still you?
I guess.
Where's Randy then? Cue the intro. Cue the intro.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Too Heavy Wrestling Podcast. You have myself, the wondrous Clayton Love today, the amazing Edward Cooney, and the illustrious Zachary Craig, here to bring you with another update in the world of wrestling for this past week. We are absent our friend, dear partner, Randall Barack Hussein Obama Rusin, as he decided this past week to be a grown man and propose to his longtime girlfriend. So while we are happy for him in the future endeavors in his life, boo for trying to be a man.
Boo and hiss.
You're saying that to the two already engaged people in this.
Yo, I didn't know his name sounded so majestic.
It sounds majestic when I say it.
Oh, yeah. Brock.
Randall, Gordo, Roseanne.
Randall, Roseanne, Rusan. Like
See.
from the hit TV show Roseanne.
Yes. That's his name on my phone.
With the part that says from the hit TV show Roseanne.
Yes.
That's what it is in my phone.
Yeah. So, wrestling.
So in the world of wrestling, guys, let's talk about those Money in the Bank qualifiers. Start with Raw.
Well, honestly, I'm going to start with the cooler match, in my opinion, which was Shinsuke and Bronson Reed. That was, from what I saw in highlights, because I did not catch the full show, great match. I think it made Shinsuke look really good because I know he just came off a loss the week before.
Yeah.
Which, based off the trajectory of what we want to see Shinsuke go in, we didn't expect him to lose anytime soon because we were expecting a world title match in the future. So I think it's a great way to get back on track. Bronson Reed was about to get counted out, rolled back into the ring, got hit with Kinshasa, second time in the match. So it made Bronson Reed look powerful for being able to get out of a Kinshasa in the first place. So I think it went really well for him.
It's one of those things we talk about Bronson Reed a lot. He doesn't have to take the win as long as he doesn't look bad in his loss.
I'm all steam ahead on Bronson Reed, Luke. But that's me.
Do you think he should be in the Money in the Bank?
No.
No.
I think he, like I had said before, I think he is an IC title contender at the moment.
But like even being able to I think that shows more skill because I know with a previous match that happened, a North American title match, he was in a 5-way North American title match in NXT.
Yep.
Killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be clear. I'm not doubting his capabilities to work a multi-man, multi-leveled, because of the ladders, type of match in this year's 2023 Money in the Bank match. If Bronson Reed is not Jeff Hardy and off a ladder or getting put through a ladder, I don't know what purpose he serves in that match, because nobody, I think I can say, is going to think that he
I was
has
about to say he
even a
better
dark
tsunami
horse.
off of freaking ladder.
I do have a theory. So, Zach, I don't know if you know who this person is because it's NXT UK, but you know Dave Mastiff.
Yes.
If he does that cannonball that Dave Mastiff used to do, you need to look this up, because
do.
this is like a 350-pound guy jumping halfway across the ring into a cannonball into the corner.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
If you could make that spot happen with a weapon or environmental, and you don't get a Joey Mercury situation, then yes.
Yeah.
I would be 10 toes down on Bronson Reed being involved in the match.
Right, definitely.
Without that, I think you can take what Bronson Reed represents right now, a shorter statured monster heel,
Right.
and have that represented by 2 or more heels during the match and get the same effect. I don't think that in terms, because we're obviously going to talk about all the qualifiers, I don't think in terms of positioning inside of WWE right now, you can definitively say Bronson Reed is above Montez.
No.
And if Montez isn't in the match, Bronson Reed's not in the match.
The thing this
Definitely.
year, like I said, after when we were talking about the after WrestleMania landscape of WWE, like I said, it's a big reset right now. These qualifiers are really telling on who they're really going to be focusing on over the next little while. And
Definitely.
you know, even the people who lose, just because they were in the qualifier match, it tells that they're on the radar in some capacity.
Right.
Except for Lacey Evans.
Which, so be it. I mean, I wish Lacey Evans' character developed way better than where it has been, but that's a nor here nor there thing to me.
I don't know what else they can do for her at this point.
No.
Now, would you salute her?
Clayton's like, if she was face to face with me right now, maybe.
Why does she want everyone to salute her?
Because that's the thing with all of her gimmicks. It has one hyper focused part of it.
Yeah.
And that just becomes the main parodying point. But then nothing else happens to make it interesting beyond a vignette. And tired of it. Like, she should be a free agent. Send her into NXT like you just sent Mustafa and Baron Corbin down this week.
Which I'm also very mad about, considering the matches that are happening next week. That both the free agents who now went to NXT are in qualifier matches for the Money in the Bank next week.
Yeah, I don't like that too much. I feel like the free agents, okay, there is definitely a spot for free agents. I like the concept of free agents, but like we have to establish as a whole, there's SmackDown, there's Raw, and there's free agents that qualify. I feel like we always think SmackDown, Raw because they're the 2 premier brands. There ain't no free agent brand.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right. Now the other thing is that like I mean, we're jumping ahead a little bit because we haven't even gotten to SmackDown, but it's like Cameron Grimes. He's having a promo against Baron Corbin because he sees that he was on NXT this week, and he told Adam Pearce like, "Hey, you know, next time he shows up here, it's not going to be good for him." So like that clearly tells that probably sometime or during his Money in the Bank qualifier match next week, that something's going to happen to Corbin through Cameron Grimes. But that's also telling to why isn't Cameron Grimes in the Money in the Bank qualifier match instead of him?
that is a man who, again, through the same 5-way I was talking about with Bronson Reed, showed how creative he is. He showed, and I also think it's just exposure from him being able to grow in the business with best high flyers ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it works really well in his favor, just being on a team like that. And I don't know if you guys know who Andrew Everett is.
The name sounds...
Yeah.
So, kind of their biggest thing, they were both in PWG, did a lot of matches. They were also a part of, I guess, like Shane Helms. He was in TNA for a little bit, and they were like his tag team.
Okay.
They did some stuff with the Hardys, and again, both North Carolina guys. They're and I mean this in like I think, of course, like kind of based off indie promotions. Again, I've said the Rascals are probably pound for pound the best athletes
Mm-hmm.
that I've seen come up. I'd say these guys are a close second. Like Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, they were so good at what they did, made the most innovative moves. It's like whatever Mustafa Ali's finishing move is, where he does like a 450 but like facing backwards. Andrew Everett does the same thing, but like he gets a jumping start. Like he jumps as high as he possibly can before he does it.
Right.
It's so cool. But
Yep.
I think Cameron Grimes and this Baron Corbin rivalry. Personally, I think Baron Corbin's stale. It's good for him to go to NXT, maybe give him some relevancy, but like we don't know where that's going to go because he is a free agent.
Yeah, my biggest thing was the fact that Baron Corbin lost that way to Cameron Grimes to show up in NXT, to then have Cameron Grimes show up on SmackDown talking about him going to NXT, but then Baron Corbin's in the qualifier match and Cameron Grimes isn't.
I feel bad for Baron Corbin, but at the same time, again, stale product, but going to make Carmelo Hayes look good because Baron Corbin is not a bad wrestler whatsoever. Going to make Cameron Grimes look good. Again, not a bad wrestler
Maybe
whatsoever.
Grimes will attack Corbin before the match and he'll insert himself into that qualifier match instead.
I'm okay with that if it happens going into the start of the qualifying match. I hate when they do that the day Kelly is.
Right. I do
Yeah.
agree with that. But kind of on to another point with the other qualifying match, Ricochet against Miz, Mr. High Flyer
Yeah.
getting into the match, expected.
Ricochet has the Kofi Kingston spot.
Right.
Miz doesn't need to be involved.
Well, I didn't
But
even realize.
he gives it legitimacy with
Right.
Ricochet beating him.
I didn't even realize, but Braun's injured anyway. So that's
Oh, I didn't know that either.
he just had a reconstructive surgery on his neck.
Good old fusion surgery that a lot of people seem to be having more.
Man does have a beefy neck too.
Yeah. So that gives Ricochet some time to shine as a singles competitor if they're going to let him.
I'm trying to look up. Look at me just being the perfect podcaster. Okay, there were no women's qualifying matches on Raw.
No,
I didn't remember
the
there
only
being
women's
any.
qualifying match was on SmackDown with Zelina going over the amalgamation of Lacey Evans' new bit. I think the other qualifying match on SmackDown with LA Knight and Montez Ford.
Yeah.
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 Well, once more with feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. One, I think it was a really nice worked match for what it was. It was very interesting to me, at least, that LA Knight was so over that they were actively booing Montez. And more importantly, because Bianca did this at Backlash when she was getting booed, Montez kind of leaned into it. The fact that he was getting booed, which to me is like a sign of increased ring awareness.
Yeah.
That you need to have when the crowd's just not with you, when you doing a face and an anti-hero at best.
Yeah. 'Cause
Matchup.
he's doing the come on. Well, come on, guys. Come on. Let's go. It's me.
You know you're over if they're booing Montez Ford.
Yes.
That's crazy. Okay, also, is it Megastar season? Is it time for him to win? I don't want him to win the world title. I do want to point that out. I feel like he'd be awesome just holding that briefcase. He will be untouchable with that briefcase.
We've talked about it before. I want him to do what we talked about. So I've always said that LA Knight was going to be the Money in the Bank winner, but I want him to be the first person that carries it all the way until the next Money in the Bank.
Right.
You can make that work.
But the
So
thing
good at
is,
it.
though, if they build him up enough as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder to where he just literally just says he doesn't care about cashing it in, and it works that way, I still want him to win at the end of it. I can't fathom him going that long and then just losing.
Well, you know Adam Pearce is, and I want you to get your thoughts on this too, but I feel like Adam Pearce just pulling like, hey, it's getting closer to Money in the Bank. Like, are you going to cash this in? I feel like him being on a deadline would be like so cool for him because he's probably going to be as calm, cool, and collected as possible. And like somehow, some way, he's going to capitalize with that. But like, if he wins, I will be thoroughly surprised based off of
We get
his
the
age.
Cody payoff, and then he just comes out. Yeah.
The whole universe would be over.
I love that for the chaos, but I truly think
That would be detrimental.
whoever wins the briefcase is cashing in on Roman night of SummerSlam. Because
Ooh,
Roman has no more dates after SummerSlam.
that
I don't believe that, but I can roll with that until it happens. But I still think that
Does he-
Roman's carrying it well into September of next year.
he's gonna pass Pedro Morales regardless.
Yeah, he's passing up the next
The
one.
rumors that he's gonna pass Hulk Hogan too.
Why? Wouldn't that mean he'd win past
He would
WrestleMania
go until
next year?
September of
It would
next
be-
year.
Yeah, September next year.
Dude,
me and
that's-
Randy, like we just me and Randy talking about this on the last episode. Like it's just really hard to see that.
I know it is, and I really don't want it to happen either. The big thing for me that I want is I want this bloodline story to play out as if one by one, because like technically it's one out of the three are kind of fully against him.
right.
Jay is kind of playing that I'm in the middle. Solo's like I'm fully with Roman. And I think slowly one by one, Jimmy will verse Roman, lose. Jay will turn finally, verse Roman, lose. And then Solo will finally be like, hey, I'm going to turn now. And then Roman will have absolutely nobody to the point that it'd be either the perfect opportunity for Cody to come back and win or the Money in the Bank winner to come back and win. But it's going to result in bloodline beatdown on Roman to
Since
leave
we
him
already-
lifeless.
Yeah, since we already got into it, might as well keep continuing as
Mhm.
well. What I think about Roman Reigns, and I feel like once he loses it, I'm going, like, no offense to whoever our next champion is, but I'm going to miss Roman pretty quickly. And I make it sound like I don't want Roman to be the champion. But whenever Roman is the champion and we go to any event, I've had the most fun with that because
Yes.
he is such an interactive champion with fans. I think the Bloodline, hear me out,
Space.
top three faction of all time because of what they're doing right now,
Yes.
for sure, in my
I think
opinion.
that's inarguable.
I think literally NWO, Four Horsemen, Bloodline. Yeah, I think they're higher than DX. Sue me.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
think,
not the success DX had
No.
at face value. So yeah, I have no qualms against that.
And before Zach and I were talking about this earlier, I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for another swerve to happen that we don't expect. Hear me out. Jay turns on Jimmy.
I think that's going to happen because with how SmackDown ended with Solo teasing, oh, I'm with the Usos. No, I'm not. Eat the spike, Jimmy. I think that's going to lead to Roman and Solo versus the Usos at Money in the Bank. Roman and Solo are going to win. Royal Rumble style beatdown on Jimmy specifically after the match. And I think Jay is going to try to walk away, and Roman's going to pull him back. No, you do this right now or you're out.
And then he does it.
Yep, and then he's going to kick Jimmy right in the face.
And I think that's perfect for him and his character. And I think based off, if we're talking about like bloodiest beatdowns, bloodiest rivalries, just like most overpowering, just cinema, those two are going to be the best thing
Yes.
for WWE in the future. Those two fighting. That is a fight forever type of moment, in my opinion. So I feel like
Jimmy
that'll
versus
work.
J-Math, you're
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Very much so. And Zach also pointed out theory, and I want you to broadcast that. But like, to me, that's the best thing. But I wanted you to present your theory that you talked about earlier too.
Which one?
Kind of the turnout, or not necessarily theory, but what you heard about the Bloodline. Solo, like, kind of beaten down. I want to present it for you.
Well, I don't remember which one you're talking about.
Okay. Everyone turns on Roman.
Well, yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to play out one by one.
Mhm.
I think that's how it's going to be played out. But I don't think it's going to be where you guys are talking about, where Jay ends up falling in line. I think it's going to be the full start of the full turn, but it's going to take a certain moment for Solo to finally pull the trigger, and Solo is going to be the final piece. And it's starting with Jimmy. Jimmy's going to get beat down to the point that, Jay's not going to take it anymore. Jay's going to turn in and go after Roman like he did back in 2020. And then it's going to take Solo and Roman to try and go after Jay. And then Solo's going to see Jay get beat down so hard that both of his brothers are now beaten to a pulp and they can't do anything. And that's where Solo's going to make his final decision, which is to turn on Roman. And that's where Solo's moment is going to be. And I don't think he's going to end up winning against Roman, but I think he's going to have one hell of a match against Roman. And that's going to be the biggest feat that they could give Solo at this point in his career.
You also did mention that Roman would turn face.
Yeah. So, I mean, at that point, once that whole thing shifted, is that it would take Roman turning face because it's now all three of them versus him as the lone survivor. But with Roman then losing the title and falling back to his only other brother that's been in the WWE, which is Seth Rollins.
There was an Wrestling Observer report earlier this that internally WWE would still like to turn Roman into superhero face down the road, whatever down the road means.
Okay.
Which I would say is at least minimum 2.5 years out from now.
Well, it's going to be him losing the title, and then he's going to be gone forever, and his return is going to be as the superhero face. If that would be the only time they could turn him. If he came back as heel, there'd be no other time frame to turn him back into a face again.
I agree completely with that, but I'm going to go down a little bit of the history line because I know too much of it. I'm just looking at the greatest heels of all time and why they either should have stayed heel, shouldn't have stayed heel, whatever. One of the guys who I'm thinking of who did not go face, I don't know how they'd even be able to find a way for Ted DiBiase to go face, but bless that they did. Roddy Piper went face. After all he was doing, he went face. Vince found a way to make him face. And like, there were some very cool moments of him being face. I'm not going to get that wrong. But in my opinion, he was one of the best heels ever. And I don't think you should have turned that. Roman Reigns right now is, again, top 3 heel ever right now. The way he is acting, the way he is doing everything. I feel like I understand.
Turning heel saved him.
Turning heel absolutely saved him. And like, I agree with the aspect of, hey, if he comes back, like, that'd be, it's either you have him go heel or you hear the crowd's reactions like, well, crap, now we have to turn him face. But it's like, it's so difficult to see, like, honestly, for the past 30 years, the most perfect heel go that route.
Well, and they did. My perfect metaphor for him is they did what they were never going to do with John Cena with him. Because John Cena had plenty of opportunities to turn heel to change the dynamic in his character. He had the Doctor of Thugonomics where he was technically a heel, and then he was the uber baby face that never was going to turn heel anymore. But there was times that people were getting tired of John Cena and the way he was, so like they were showing little shades of him turning heel, but never pulled the trigger.
Right.
If they would have done that same thing with Roman and he just stayed that superhero on this guy that WWE wants to push forever gimmick, he would have been eaten alive by now, and he would not be in this role that he is in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm thinking of something else too, and I was about to say the last great heel, but in my opinion, that's not the case. I think Randy Orton heel work was fantastic, but I kind of, and this is adding on.
We're talking 2009 Randy Orton.
2009 Randy Orton,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm going to bring something up and kind of, I guess, branch off of another point you made earlier. Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
Triple H is, in my opinion, the best heel of all time. In WWE terms. Ric Flair is the best heel of all time. Triple H, heel terms, WWE, best heel.
I understand.
Okay.
Continue your thought.
Triple
I'm not
H
going to
to
argue on
me
it.
was right place, right time.
Right. Exactly.
It only made sense for the time frame he was in.
What made him go face? What made him go face again in 2006?
A return.
Wasn't that post blown quad?
No, that was like 2002. So he went his giant heel run in like early 2000s. Quad, came back face, evolution, heel. Then after all of that, had a feud with like Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels. What happened after? Not trying to quiz you on the spot, but this kind of has to go with what I wanted to say next.
Oh, just fill in the blanks because I don't recall.
This, out of all people, I thought I'd mention the Spirit Squad beat up Shawn Michaels. Triple H was Shawn Michaels' saving grace. Hence, DX came back.
Right.
Right.
I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Hence your point. Is that the only way to turn Roman Reigns face if you put Seth Rollins with him? Or how would you go about doing that? Perfect terms.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, the thing is, though, it's really hard to predict right now because if they keep the draft the way it is, they're already on separate shows.
I think for Roman and Seth specifically, more so than any other talent on the roster, when assessing them as characters, we have to evolve our thinking beyond just face and heel.
Absolutely.
Because I think at face value, regardless of how the title reign ends, you can take Roman exactly how he is right now.
Right.
You can take Seth exactly how he is right now. And that is a main event of a WrestleMania for any of the next three. You don't have to change anything about their characters. They can be the exact same. I want to see that.
We already got that match at Royal Rumble last year.
I want to. Yes, but Seth, I would say,
he was evolving at that time into his character.
I think Seth might be in, much like Roman's in his final form right now. I think Seth's in his final form now.
I believe so.
Got the crowd engagement. He has the crowd work. His health has kept up since he tore up his knee.
It's kind of a sad part in history right now when you think about it, because we got to watch their rise from where they started, and we already thought we got a lot of the best of those two in some parts of their character, especially Seth, because he had the Beast Slayer gimmick, he had just the slang gimmick in general, and I mean everything, the blueprint, everything, and overall, it's just weird to see that now it's coming to the point where they were in seeing the start to the latter half of their career.
Right.
What you said earlier, megastar. Seth's in his megastar mode.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Unquestionable. Like Roman, Seth, Cody, Brock, just by default, because it's Brock. Those are your megastars.
I completely agree with that.
So to answer your overarching point about do they need to turn Roman face? I personally think no. Because I don't know about you guys, I heard more cheers than boos when either the time we were in the audience for Raw, SmackDown. So to that end, I don't think they need to do anything.
I don't think
to turn
the moniker has to apply to him.
No, like, yeah, you're going to have your bloodline fallout, and that will add to the minutia that is Roman's character right now.
Which Roman is Roman. Roman's not a heel or a face. It's Roman as being Roman.
Just show up, smash everyone, leave.
Yeah. The same thing for Seth.
He does heel-ish things. He also has the capacity to do face things, but like, no, just leave his character exactly how it is. It essentially truly what amounts to peak Cena without it feeling just shoved down our throat.
My big thing that I think will get me to the point where I'm full on the road with, or like on the ball with Roman, is that I need post Bloodline, but him dominate as himself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Not have his bloodline with him. Because a lot of his current reign, I mean, talk about the Brock versus Roman matches all you want to, and what he did before the bloodline was a thing. But the majority of his reign over the last 3 years has been as a part of some form of bloodline. I need a Roman Reigns without a bloodline that can still carry the character he's portraying.
What you want is Roman Reigns right after coming back from leukemia, just before the Thunderdome.
No, I want this Roman Reigns without them three. I want him to show that he doesn't need anybody, but still have the cadence of being the best in the company and best in the world.
Honestly, Roman, when he came back in the Thunderdome era, was kind of like that.
Yeah.
He was
wrecked
starting
Braun.
to,
Yeah.
but now it's like a radiating thing. Like, he portrays himself as a god of wrestling at this point. But you look back at his last few matches, it was all because someone else helped him win.
Right.
So it's just, and the bad part about it is he's going to have to lose the title most likely before the bloodline's away from him. That's the other part to it too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, I want to see a different side of Roman Reigns, but I also need to get the bloodline away from him at the same time, but they're both going to happen at the same time.
I just think, like, in terms of what I want to see from world champion, bloodline, Roman Reigns, whatever it may be, I just think, like, there are certain stars that just, a faction helps them. Faction helps them a ton. When Roman is an individual superstar, it's awesome. There have been really good moments from him individually, but all of his grand achievements come from a faction.
Oh, yeah.
In my opinion. He won that one world title. Well, not one world title. He won, I think individually his best win was against Sheamus for the world title. Just because of the significance of, like, Sheamus beat him, then he won it. Like, I guess just how the pieces fell into place. I think Roman right now, I don't want to ever see him as a face. Because if he's a heel, the fans love him more. If he's face, the fans fucking hate him.
Yes.
Like, it is perfect that the fans know better than anybody. The fans are the people who are absorbing the product. Let him do what he's doing.
Well, that's why I say Roman's Roman, because it's not, because if they did portray Roman as a face, he would get booed.
Absolutely.
Just like John Cena, when he is super uber face, he gets booed because it's the thing. They don't want to see him like that. So it's, if Roman was to get a moniker of, hey, he's the good guy now, they're not gonna like it.
Right.
No, it's just let Roman be him. He could be this badass dude that doesn't want to, or that is this cocky guy, and he might help somebody here and there, but it's because Roman wanted to do it, not because he was meant to, because of his character.
Let's also imagine a time where, in going through history, only two people have done the impossible, beating Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Imagine a heel Roman Reigns beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania. In my opinion, that would be so much more significant.
Oh, yeah.
So just one thing I want to ask.
Yes.
An uber athletic wrestler beating the unholy dog crap out of a past his time but legendary wrestler wasn't heel in and of itself. Like, I don't. Yes, he was a quote unquote face going into that match against the Undertaker.
That was the peak of the shove down the Roman era.
I mean, like, he didn't have as much context to his character. I think you were kind of going into it. The big dog, it's his yard. Like, very cliche, in my opinion.
Very Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Yeah. Bloodline. Like, hey, if Vince made the bloodline, sure, awesome. Roman, Jay, Jimmy, Solo. Honestly, I'll blame Paul Heyman for this, because I honestly feel like this is a lot of Paul Heyman.
This is Paul Heyman's love child.
Because, like, that, and having, especially having Paul Heyman at ringside for that too, having the same reaction that he had with Brock, like, I can't be as over for one world champion, at least in my time, than we have been with Roman Reigns. He's not my favorite superstar of all time. He's not my favorite heel of all time. But like just what he's done, I guess the prestige he's brought to this title, the Undisputed titles,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't think you can beat that. Like he's done so much, and just like and this is just me putting pieces in history, trying to be like, oh, what could he have done if he did this? What could he have done if he done that?
Mhm.
Those are fairy tales. It's not a big deal. But like having him where he's at right now, like we may hate it, but what if he holds it for another 1,000 days?
The super negative what if of that is I was reading a stat earlier today where in CM Punk's 434 WWE title reign, he defended the belt like 139 times.
Right.
Roman's at less than 40 for the WWE Championship and isn't over 60 for the Universal Championship. Say whatever you will about how shows they count, they don't count.
No, he's having a pre-TV era title run. He's having the Pedro Morales title run where they weren't televised every week to have him defend it, and half the time they didn't even know where he was to go defend it at.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
literally some circus, hang a poster up on the wall type stuff.
Yeah.
Like this new, and we'll segue into this after, but this new belt, his reduction of a belt, the sixth presentation of this exact same belt design in the past 10 years. With the same podium from when The Rock introduced the title. Separate argument for another day. The belt feels like an accessory to Bloodlines. And I'm okay with that if mother effing Austin Theory was doing something with the US title. Effectively have an inactive US title in post WrestleMania, an inactive
That's why Gunther
Undisputed
worked
title
on SmackDown, because he was working as the working champion. Gunther was defending on SmackDown because Roman wasn't there.
I think we need to hop into this, and then I do want to get back to the championship thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first off, I love Pretty Deadly. Fantastic team. They made Austin Theory look way better than he was last night.
I would go even further to say they would never do this because of the tribalism. But the way that 6-man tag match was worked, be against a trios belt
With him?
with anybody in the company.
Okay.
Because they're already talking about adding an extra hour to SmackDown. Why? I don't know. But advertising, if I had to guess, I wouldn't be against that because I've noticed, and I think I might even said this the first time I was on the podcast, I've noticed an increased quality and time that they're being given, whether it's standard 2-on-2, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or in the case of that mess on Raw, 4 teams of 2, they're getting time to work. And if you're getting time to work tag team matches, you can tell better stories now.
I just feel like they need to fix the full, like, figure out the tag team division before you're trying to make a trios division.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
You have all the pieces you need to make a perfect tag team division. Like, literally, you have the best tag teams in the world.
They did really good on SmackDown this
Right.
week. They had the OC finally in a match as a tag team. Except, they had to wait until AJ got home to do it, but it was still, they finally got into a match. And then, Pretty Deadly was in a trios tag team match, but they're getting shown off as a tag team. The Brawling Brutes are the same thing, but you had the 2 singles guys that are versing each other in the match too. So it made sense for it, because now you're going to see a Pretty Deadly versus Rich Holland and Butch match sometime down the road too. So, the play is there. We really need to see what Kevin Owen and Sammy are going to continue to do now that they're past the bloodline part, because it seems like they're not going to touch that anymore. They talked about it on Monday, and now it seems like they're done. They didn't show up on SmackDown. So, it seems like they are going to move on, but now they need new contenders.
Since we're all about unification right now and giving new titles, unify those 2 titles, give SmackDown their titles. Like, in my opinion, simple, easy, effective. You let other teams show out. Like this, what we have had in the past couple years has been fantastic. I think Jimmy and Jay winning those titles and unifying them, great for them as a tag team, and helped solidify why they are one of the best tag teams of all time. But like Sammy and Kevin are going to go off against Imperium from what it sounds like. You have all these tag teams on SmackDown. Honestly, like Pretty Deadly is a great heel tag team. I could see them doing something with that. But again, I do want to branch out onto the extra hour. Like they need to figure out a way to fill in time with wrestling.
Yes.
Not with stories. Which as much as I love storytelling, and I think that's the cool thing about professional wrestling, you get to see stories involved, but you have too much bulk to your roster and you're not cutting them yet, but you want to add on an additional hour?
That's early.
Yeah, so like do something. Like I don't know when they're going to add that additional hour, but why trim off your roster and then add an additional hour? That doesn't make very much sense to me.
My idea, make a Money in the Bank for tag teams.
I would love that. That'd be fantastic.
All right. Let's segue. I had a train of thought and I just lost it like that. New belt design. What do we think?
I'm not okay with it right now.
We actually talked about this before you came in too. I like the fact that, like, I think when you think of those title designs, you have to think Roman Reigns. Like, those are Roman's titles, and that design, if I'm going to be honest, is Roman's, based off the amount of time he's held said titles. Like, when I think that title design, I besides Brock, I can't see anyone else in my mind holding that title.
You know what? The only thing that would have made me like that belt, because of the gold background and because it made me think of his gauntlets, is putting the Roman Reigns logo where the WWE logo is. Because I seen a render of it with the Roman logo, but it was an all red belt and it didn't look right. But now that I know that gold is there, if they would have put the 2 R's there and made it like custom to him because he owns those belts, that would be the only thing I would say would have made me like that better. But it's just like you said, rehashing the belt for what, the 6th time over the last 10 years.
Yep. Same belt design, same plate design. You're just changing the accents. And
well, talk about being excited. They just reintroduced the World Heavyweight Championship with the redesign. My big hope was that they were going to be like, here's Winged Eagle, but with the WWE logo slapped on it.
That's another thing I wanted to talk about too, and I talked to Zach about this. I like when you invent a belt or redesign a current belt. In my opinion, hey, I missed the Winged Eagle title. Shoot, sometimes I miss the spinner title. There's a lot in history that was really cool, but it was meant for the certain person who introduced that title. I think like, hey, Big Gold would always be cool to see that. But like in Cody Rhodes' instance, I think it worked for him to bring that title back. But like, I don't think we need an old title unless someone who has family lineage, rich history in wrestling is bringing that title back. Like, I think that title works perfect for Roman.
Some type of cadence to call back for it.
Right, exactly.
I'm.
A lot of people.
It just feels very blank.
Yeah.
The design, like the only real change is the gold plating behind the WWE logo, which fine, whatever. I actually hate that it's being called the Universal title. Like, I 100% hate that.
So because they basically retired the WWE Championship.
How do you retire the championship?
Yeah.
Bring back a new revolution of Big Gold. Cool.
But they also did say that this Big Gold is new lineage. It's not.
So it doesn't even carry the same lineage. So a new age, brand new Big Gold. Okay,
if you go to Seth's title reign, it says previous title reign 0, longest title reign his, and then however long he's had it. So, but the other, even if it wasn't Winged Eagle, just like if they would have done the Brock and Eddie era Undisputed belt with the WWE logo slapped on it, like it would have still felt like they were going back to a championship, like that meant something, instead of it being the big WWE logo again, like just how it's been over the last 10 years. The World Heavyweight Championship, I personally love, and people don't like it for some reason, and people always gripe that it's the logo being plastered over the front, but like all the other companies who have belts do it too, so it's hard to argue it anyway. But I didn't think when they said, "Oh, here's a new belt," that it was just going to be the same thing with a gold background.
Yeah, it felt
For the guy who has the belt for the last 3+ years.
for me continues the worst belt name in the history of ever and the worst looking belts in the history of ever. I don't care what anybody says. I will die on this hill. WWE Universal Championship belt with either a red strap or a blue strap is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. Your main champion, I don't take them seriously because they got a color-coded turbo light bright belt that you just made that way to sell toys. If they did what they revealed Friday a decade ago, and that's just been the belt, I'd love it. But not this continuing trend. And if that's what you're going to do, it should not have taken this long to even show what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
Did all this waiting, all this hype, all this speculation, all of this calendar year on what's going to happen with Roman because he just can't keep holding two belts. Get a new belt and a redesigned belt. Buddy asked.
Kind of another thing I wanted to touch on, kind of with the colored straps. And this did start with the Universal Championship, so completely blaming that era. I mean, when kids want to buy toys, they want something to associate it with, and then they see red Raw, blue SmackDown, all that crap, which, like, understandably for advertising and promotion, so be it. When you're talking about lineage, history, prestige with your championships,
Yes,
you can't have like just any color belt, and I'll use this for an example because this is probably the worst title in WWE history, unless you guys can tell me other, like, active. What do you think I'm gonna say? 24/7.
the butterfly.
The Divas.
Oh, the Divas. I don't. Well, okay. Yes, as in that's maybe the most sexist belt ever. But like the 24/7, what the hell were we doing there?
The same kind of what the hell with the OG hardcore belt.
For Mick Foley, it made sense.
Yes.
That was kind of perfect for Mankind, if we're going to be honest. But like
The second he didn't hold that title, though, and somebody else held that title.
Yeah. Why would the big boss man want to carry that title around? Or like Al Snow, actually, that kind of made sense too, if I'm going to be
Didn't
honest.
China win the hardcore belt too? Or am I misremembering that?
I mean, one of the
Probably
Godfather's
did.
hoes won the hardcore title. Yeah, but like there's so many championships in WWE history that you're like, why? Like the penny tag titles are a great design.
Mm-hmm.
Just I guess poorly executed with the way it looked.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, that's a pretty cool design in my opinion. But just like the copper, the copper texture.
If it actually looked like a belt instead of a plate, like, and it
Right.
was not silver or copper, it was gold with a black strap,
Yes.
I would be fine with it.
There's so many ways to make those belts better than what they are. And to be clear for our listeners, it's not that the belts are colored.
No, I mean,
I hate
I mean,
it. It's just
we're all in our 20s and early 30s. Like, it's literally, what did we grow up on? We didn't have color-coded belts.
Mm-mm.
We had a World Heavyweight Championship just like there is now that they're reintroducing. It didn't have the big logo on it, though. It had a tiny-ass WWE logo at the very top and
I'm
said
also in my
World
30s
Heavyweight
and old
Championship
as
on
fuck.
it. Huh?
I said I'm also in my 30s and old as fuck.
I'm just saying.
Because you're like,
Okay.
we're all in our
Hey.
20s, and it's like, that's
Okay.
not
I
me.
said early 30s, too.
Well, I'm 24 and young as fuck apparently, but I'm going to touch back on my memory of actually buying one of those toy belts because I've had one of those toy belts in the past. I had Jeff Hardy's favorite wrestler of all time. I had his Intercontinental title when he was going through that feud with Humaga, which is one of my favorite feuds of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good little.
Yeah, and
Such a good.
I didn't care what color that title was because Jeff Hardy had that title.
Yep.
I care about the wrestler who holds the title. That's what made me want the title, not blue, red, green. Frickin' if Dusty Rhodes had a polka dot title, that'd be
That
fine.
would actually be baller.
Yeah. I almost said polka
No,
dot.
I
but I'm
feel
like,
that same way now. Like, say, because like I like the IC belt ever since it's been introduced. It's been
Right.
probably a lot of the least favorite of a lot of people's IC belts. But since Gunther's held it, that's changed a lot of people's minds.
Sieged it.
Yeah, right. But I've owned that belt since it was available because I
Right.
liked it, and Shinsuke even made it really good for me. But when Gunther had it and he's had it now, that's how many more people like that belt more because it's around his waist.
right.
But it's the same thing with you with Jeff Hardy. It's the same thing why I liked the World and the WWE tag team belts back when they were a thing, because they were true tag teams that held them. Paul London and Brian Kendrick had me all over the SmackDown belts.
Oh, I love Paul London.
Brian.
Brian
So,
Kendrick was a cool concept.
But point proven, though. We had people who we knew what these belts stood for. Everyone wanted the World Heavyweight Championship because of Triple H and Batista and The Undertaker. Everyone wanted the spinner belt because of John Cena. I mean, we need reasons for wanting these belts other than because they're color-coded.
Yes.
You can make your own belt. And I also want to, like, if Undertaker had a purple strap, that makes sense, right? Like, the Fiend's title, weird, very weird design, but went for him.
Well, it's like all these legacy belts that they're making on WWE Shop right now.
Right.
Imagine if those people had those versions of the belt when they had the actual championship.
Be okay with me. I'd be okay with
Like
that.
Rey Mysterio's World Heavyweight
Yeah.
Championship, how that legacy one is. That would
Or-
be pretty cool. And it I don't know. It's just like everyone, like John Cena getting the spinner belt because he had the belt. And then you get people like Edge who got to make it his own with the rated R spinner and
Right.
stuff like that. I mean, it's just when you look at Roman gets to say he had the same belt that's been around for 10 years with gold behind it. And that's his belt.
Dude, there are kind of 2 points I want to make on this. One, also, customization's cool. I do want to point that out. There's nothing wrong with custom. Like, I'm going to use the Money in the Bank briefcases for an example. Like, early Money in the... Like,
Yeah, when they
RVD's
used to do that.
briefcase. Dude,
Dude,
do
Damian
something with that.
Sandow's.
Damian Sandow's was good. Like, everyone's had... Like,
Don't.
it's customized. It's customized for the wrestler.
It was literally a briefcase that was etched with a freaking Money in the Bank logo.
I don't have any qualms with Damian Sandow. I love Damian Sandow.
Give me Mr. Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy's wasn't that cool. RVD's was the coolest.
Yes.
Sue me. I'm a mark, but
My everything reaction was more based around the fact that he was chosen to be a failed cash-in. Character never recovered. And I have like intrinsic problems.
Oh, yeah.
John Cena said about Austin Theory, I believed everything Damian Sandow did, especially when he was Mrs. Stunt.
Well, imagine now, this is a perfect segue, and I'm sorry to keep going into different things, but it's going to be the same feeling when LA Knight wins.
he better customize a briefcase. I swear. I will.
It's going to say yeah all over it.
Better.
And
It has to say,
the
yeah.
thing is that, again, if they give him this much of a run to lose with that briefcase, I'm going to be so mad. He deserves a championship belt. I don't care if his character's supposed to be I can be a champion or not. If he gets that briefcase and loses, I will be very disappointed.
Like, LA Knight is older. That would be my only... Like, I feel like in terms of his prime, we didn't get to see his prime in WWE. It's not like he's not in his prime. I think character development-wise, he's as over as he can possibly get. Physically, he's not... He's gone through his fair share of injuries in the past. Like, I feel like right now, he would have to... I think he'd have to be Cody. I think that'd make him more over than anything. Cody needs a world title and do that. Hopefully that could happen, like same situation as next year, as we were talking about. Like Cody could win at Money in the Bank. That would happen.
If in this lifetime I get to see Cody versus LA Knight,
Yeah.
for a world championship, Amazon is going to make so much money off of me for the amount of fresh underwear I would have to buy.
I'm telling you, that's what's going to happen is that Cody's going to verse Roman at WrestleMania and LA Knight's going to cash in. And he's going to do a second heist of this, or he's going to do a heist of the century like Seth.
Don't do that. Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. Don't do that.
Okay, I'll get on the same track because I wanted to get in the Money in the Briefcase or Money in the Bank briefcase talk, but back to Prestige, like I look at other promotions, and this is like we've had years where it's like the most deserving tag team has won the tag team titles. Sammy and Kevin, in my opinion, with the way they did everything, deserve those tag team titles. I'm gonna keep it as real as I can possibly make it. Austin Theory needs to like I don't like him as US champion. I don't.
Hasn't
I'm
worked.
over it. I'm looking at other promotions and their mid-card title. Like, okay, well, actually, now I'm looking at AEW. Honestly, I don't want Wardlow holding the title. That's another conversation, another podcast, whatever. New Japan just had a television title made. You know who the champion is? Best technical wrestler. Okay, I'm actually not going to say best technical wrestler in the world. He can say that all he wants.
Will Ospreay?
Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Sabre Jr., yeah.
If you watch the Cruiserweight Classic, you know how good Zack Sabre Jr. is. That man, like just the way he acts and just the strong style British wrestling, he puts prestige behind anything he does. Gunther, same deal. Prestige behind anything he does. I want that in my champion. Austin Theory is not there yet. Not even close. You could say the same thing when Randy Orton had his first Intercontinental title run. Or his only Intercontinental title run, if I believe. But I guess growing up, it made more sense. Like, just because of what he was doing.
The lines between young Randy Orton and Austin Theory just shine right next to each other.
I just think Randy Orton was so much better.
He was, and it's the timing part is that Austin Theory needs to change things up, or it's just going to continue to be stale until it's not going to be good for him anymore.
I'm just like, I'm over it with him. I need something to happen. We need someone with prestige to hold a prestigious title, such as the United States Championship.
Austin Theory is currently prestige title plate.
Yes, completely.
Like I'm starting to associate that title plate specifically with all this.
If he wanted to be like as over as a heel as he possibly could have, WrestleMania, come out with the spinner. Literally, he could have done that. In my opinion, that
US
actually,
title spinner?
yeah, U.S. title spinner. That actually would have worked so well. Also, if he would have kicked out of that AA, just one.
John Cena already said it. You lose, you lose. You win, you also lose. And he's losing right now.
He is not
Sheamus
winning
should
in any
win
sense.
if he's gonna burst him for the title. Sheamus should win.
Yes.
Now, does Sheamus have that prestige? Your opinion?
Yes.
Okay.
Because Sheamus, Grand Slam champion, is he not?
No.
Yeah.
No, the IC belts or one of the belts.
Oh yeah, I see.
Is the only one he hasn't won, which he had the chance whenever the Gunther thing was happening, but it didn't happen.
So he's a belt short of Grand Slam. Yeah.
But he's had enough of the other ones to make it worth it.
For the other ones.
But no, I think right now, again, just with the Money in the Bank qualifiers and where we're going, it's that reset button has been hit. Can't say anything until the ball gets rolling, which Money in the Bank will do it. And then the only other thing, like I said, I would change is is Austin Theory, losing the belt for a while, at least while he's finding himself in whatever character he's trying to portray, because it's not working.
I agree. I feel like we're about to hit our time. Did we cover everything?
Yeah. No, we kind of talked about it throughout the podcast. We think we all feel like LA Knight is our candidate to face for the.
Until I hear more contestants, yes.
And then I said one thing about it in the beginning, but I wholeheartedly hope and believe that it's EO. that wins.
I
the
don't.
women's.
If Io is not facing Asuka for the belt at Money in the Bank, yes. If she is, I don't want her
Well,
pulling.
she's in the contenders matches.
I think Bailey's gonna cost her that to continue their little.
Think so?
Yeah, that's floating in the background.
What, and then have her win instead?
I see 3 lanes for Io. Either wins the briefcase if she's not gonna face Asuka. If she doesn't face Asuka, I don't know who Asuka
I feel
faces.
like the Money in the Bank match will be where Damage Control is officially broken up to the point that Bailey and Io are separated, but then Dakota Kai will come back from injury at some point to finish that story out.
Yeah, Dakota Kai will come back from injury next year.
Right, but then to finish out whatever it is, because those two will be broken up.
I do want to actually one thing. I don't know if we'll get on a tangent about this. I know.
I got one. I got
You go first. Fine.
Io wins.
Talking to your mic.
Io wins against Asuka, takes the belt. Bailey wins the briefcase early in the night, cashes in on Io.
Yeah, that's stirring
Nice
the
little
pot.
bow.
Cinema.
Yeah.
nice little bow right there.
Yeah, give Asuka the title, reign she deserves.
Why doesn't 2 stars like Bianca and Asuka work well together? Or work better than it seems on paper?
Because for me, Bianca, I'm using the actual WWE video games as a template, if you will. Bianca fits into that powerhouse category like a Beth Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
She fits that.
Right.
Asuka fits the more technical side of wrestling, where I think is Bianca's weak. Like if Bianca's not being super big, super strong, I'm not really interested in watching Bianca do a technical match. And I don't know how capable she is of doing a technical match. And I think that brings down the match quality between her and Asuka.
Right.
Which is crazy to think about because Bianca and Io had a great match just last month.
Fantastic match.
But for some reason, her and Asuka can't.
Now, you could say maybe how that match is produced. Sure, because that finish at Backlash was horrible.
Yeah.
Just like the more I think about it, the more it sits with me, marinates. Hate it.
Because you can tell, I mean, Bianca tries her best at acting like the Mist did something to her, but she has to also realize they have that hard zoom in on the face, and Asuka barely touched her. Like,
yeah, you guys, when you guys talked about that last week, it's like you literally like ate a Jolly Rancher, like wiped your hand on your tongue and then put it in her eyes. Like it didn't look like it did anything.
Didn't get anything on her face, and you're spazzing
that
about
cost
it.
her the title. Her out of this reign of terror, that's what ended it.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Like, I also think Powerhouse works well against a high flyer more than a Powerhouse works well against a technician. That's not the case for everyone.
No, not at all.
But I think specifically throughout at least the past 20 years, history-wise in women's wrestling, that's kind of how it's been. Like, you have people that can do high-flying stunts, things of that nature. Like, Mickie James is no high flyer, but I think she resembles more of a high flyer than a technician.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Mickie James has more verticality to her offense than Asuka does. Asuka's just going to wear you down
Asuka's
and be mean. Striker, that's actually more accurate. Striker more so than a technician. And for whatever reason, it's just not working enough between those two. But Asuka versus anybody else, fireworks. I know Asuka versus Io.
That will light everything up. I don't know. I wanted Bianca to lose because I was tired of her being the gatekeeper, and I was ready for her character to be the chaser again. But it needs to be against not Asuka.
Her against Rhea may work. May work real well. I don't think we'll get that anytime soon.
No, that's women's main event. That's women's main event for 40. Guarantee it.
But I think that's a good way to end this episode. Is just, I think we're in a good spot right now. It's hard to it's hard to be upset with anything at the moment because there's too many things being put in place. But
Besides Lacey Evans getting an opportunity she no longer deserves.
yeah, but Shotzi's still in there too. So,
Shotzi at least has a tank.
Or it's ending. Or ending the episode.
take us out.
Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. Also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Final thoughts. Actually, congratulations once again, Randall. Good job.
We love you, buddy.
Our little boy's becoming a big man.
All right. Other than that, I'm good. How about you boys?
Shagabra.
Until next time, we're too heavy. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.
Zach, let me know when your camera's off.
Oh, yeah. I walk away. All right, hold
Nothing.
on. I walk out of the shot. I have to.
Nothing Randy ever says about Nia Jax is relevant for anything. I don't know when he became the super president of the Nia Jax fan club, starting to consider it as an act of domestic terrorism. He needs help. I'm hoping becoming a man helps him.
I don't know why I have to be in shot for this.